Right now, you are probably alone, maybe in a room, maybe surrounded by people you don't really talk to, and your body is already responding to that in ways you can't feel yet. Most people think loneliness is an emotion, a feeling you push through, something that gets better when you stay busy. But loneliness is not an emotion. It is a biological alarm system. And after 72 hours, it starts doing things to your body that no amount of distraction can stop. Your brain evolved inside a group. For 300,000 years, being separated from your people didn't mean a quiet weekend. It meant you were probably about to die. Predators didn't hunt groups. They hunted individuals who had wandered off. Alone meant exposed. Alone meant dead. So your brain built an emergency response system for exactly this situation. The moment it detects prolonged social isolation, it shifts into threat mode. And it does this whether the threat is a leopard in the dark or an empty apartment on a Tuesday. Within the first 24 hours of isolation, your cortisol levels begin to rise. Cortisol is your stress hormone. In small doses, it keeps you alert and focused. But sustained cortisol elevation does something specific. It makes your brain hypersensitive to threat. You start reading neutral faces as hostile. Ambiguous situations feel dangerous. Strangers feel like enemies. Your brain is trying to protect you by making you more vigilant. But what it actually does is make the world feel more threatening than it is. By 48 hours, something else begins. Your brain's threat detection system, the amygdala, becomes hyperactive. Studies from the University of Chicago found that chronically lonely people show significantly higher amygdala reactivity to social threats. The brain is scanning constantly, watching for rejection, watching for danger, and because it's primed to find threats, it finds them everywhere. In a tone of voice, in a text that went unanswered, in a room full of people who seem fine without you. At 72 hours, the physical effects become measurable. Your inflammatory markers rise. Chronic inflammation is the same underlying mechanism behind heart disease, diabetes, and accelerated cognitive decline. John Cacioppo at the University of Chicago spent decades studying loneliness and found something that stopped the scientific community. Lonely people don't just feel worse. They age faster. Their immune systems weaken. Their cardiovascular systems work harder. The mortality risk of chronic loneliness is comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This is not metaphor. This is biology. But here is the part that nobody talks about. The cruelest thing loneliness does is make itself worse. When your brain shifts into threat mode, it doesn't just make you feel anxious. It changes how you behave. You become more guarded, more self-protective. You pull back from people slightly. You interpret their actions more negatively. And so the people around you feel you pulling back. And they pull back too. And the isolation deepens. Cacioppo called this the loneliness loop. The very state that makes you need connection most is the state that makes connection hardest to reach. Your ancestors never experienced this loop. In a hunter-gatherer camp of 25 to 30 people, genuine, prolonged isolation was almost impossible. You slept near others. You ate with others. You worked beside others. You were known. Your name was spoken every day by people who needed something from you. Modern life quietly dismantled all of that. We built cities full of strangers. We built apartments with locked doors. We built phones that simulate connections so convincingly that the brain accepts the substitute just long enough to stop sounding the alarm. But the body knows the difference. The loneliness epidemic is not a mental health crisis. It is a biological mismatch between the environment your brain was built for and the environment you are actually living in. Your brain needs what it has always needed. A small group of people who know your name, who notice when you go quiet, who need something from you. Not followers, not contacts, not connections. People. And 72 hours without them is long enough for your body to start coming apart at the seams.